inventions and took the information and made something new. Now we have smartphones. What's stopping me saying, okay, religion gave me some good information at one point, but I'm going to develop this now, and I'm going to use the information that I got from religion and from philosophy, and now I'm going to create a new thing.
Yeah, but you still can't answer why you're here. You can't answer simple questions like what created the universe, why you're here, what is your purpose, what is your, these things. You think, even though with all the philosophical knowledge, if you're still unable to answer these questions, the simple questions, if you're still unable to answer these questions about science, from a background of science and so on, then that shows that there is a void. There's something that needs to fill this gap which we have. And I don't say that, just say God did this, God did this. Yes, everything. So even this God of the gaps thing is kind of a, cliche, which many people use.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, but ultimately, everything has a purpose. Everything from the smallest thing to the most, macroscopic thing that you can imagine has a purpose. Yeah. We as human beings should have a purpose. Yeah. Why are we here? But again, that goes into much deeper philosophy. But what I'm saying is that there are certain things which we know are objective truths. If we don't know where that came from, then there is a lot of gap in our knowledge and our information. So if
I'm open to accepting that.
Yeah, sure. So imagine this, that you believe in God, yes? Sorry, you don't believe in God. And when you die, and that is something which is an objective truth you cannot deny. Whether you believe or not, one day we are going to die. Yes? So that is one fact.
Well,
or one.
If you mean physical or spiritual or.
Do you believe in spiritual?
There's a spirit.
Do you believe? Exactly.
Maybe.
Let's talk about things that we believe rather than what we don't believe.
Consciousness, is that right?
Well, the consciousness again is not physical.
Yeah.
Yes, but you do accept without any evidence that you have it. You see what I mean?
Yes.
Yes?
Well,
the only evidence is your worldview.
Experience.
Yeah, exactly. It's your worldview. But again, I said that earlier, that this could be, just some sort of a matrix you're in, just some sort.
Reality.
Yeah, it's a simulation that you're in. Maybe your brain is in a jar and you're imagining all these things.
Maybe we are
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It could be many things. That's why I'm saying simple things like this. Forget about the cosmos. Yes, the scientists are unable. That's why they call it the hard problem of consciousness. Yes, what is within themselves, they cannot answer. Yes, for your faculties. Yes, your rationality, your reasoning. All these things are linked to your consciousness. Yes, if the very faculties that you use to question things, yes, to inquire about the world that we are living in, if you're unable to understand the source of those faculties, then I think there's a huge issue.
Why?
Why? Because
why is it a big issue?
if you're going to say that all this just came as as an accident one day, yes, from all the atoms and the electrons firing in your brains, all these are just as an accident that just happened one day. I find that that's more like saying something just came up by magic.
Okay.
You know?
But what's wrong with that?
But what's wrong? Everything rationally is wrong with it.
Well,
you tell me.
Well, I can say, even if that's the case, and I accept that, I can still choose to live a life that I want to live.
No. Even an animal can lead a life without having civilization like ours. They don't need a library. They don't need a warm suit or a coat. They still live their life. Yes. Yeah. So we are no different to them if that is our level of thinking. But as higher thinking beings, I think we should go a bit higher than those animals out there. Yeah. Yes. So, and we have to understand that one day if we die, yes, and I mean in your case, let's say you die one day as an agnostic, and you do realize after you die that there is a world after death, there is a life after death, and there is angels which you cannot see in this world, which you didn't believe in this world, and there is God.
I'd be in big trouble.
Exactly. So
actually, this is a good, because this is Pascal's wager. I remember reading this.
Yeah, it is
it's
a Pascal's
safer
wager.
bet just to believe in God.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So why don't you?
Lose,
why do you take the higher risk then?
Maybe I'm a gambler. I don't want to.
Well, you're a bad gambler then.
I know.
Even if you're a gambler, you're a bad one, because what the gamblers do is they actually try to minimize the risk.
No, I think this is a very good argument.
Yeah. Forget about the gamblers.
It's a very good
the people who invest their money, yes.
In fact, I think this is the strongest argument.
They also take the minimum risk. So as human beings, we should minimize our risk, whether it's living our life.
But then you have to believe in the outcomes as well.
Yeah, but
if you just don't have belief.
Look here, my friend. Yeah. Everything that Islam has prohibited is bad for the individual. Yes, be it adultery, be it fornication, be it gambling, be it alcohol, be it anything that is, even messing up the environment, not caring for the environment. That is something which goes against Islam, against the teachings of Islam. So what I'm saying is that all these things which have been prohibited is good for the individual and for the society at large. Yes, if you look at people, like for example the liberal secular world that we live in today, for them what is the main thing? What is the main achievement for them? To be rich, yes? To have the best of things in terms of material wealth or material, like a big house, the best cars, and I don't know, everything else in the material sense. I'm not saying everyone's like that. Obviously, there are exceptions to those. But the main drive is towards the prosperity is measured by your wealth. Yes? But you see, in Islam, that is not the case. In most, I think most religions, I would say, I wouldn't just say Islam, but in most religions, even the Buddhists, for them, gaining wealth and material wealth is not the main achievement. The main achievement is how you lead your life in terms of how God dictated it for you. When I say dictated, I mean how He showed you what to abide by and what to prohibit. To the best of your ability, you try to do that, to stop sinning and so on. All those things is the one which we Muslims will call by taqwa. The fear of God, in the sense that you fear authority. Just like, for example, if somebody is driving and they know that there is a police there, they would not break the traffic rule. Yes, be it talking on the phone, which is against the law here, last time I checked, or doing something like running the red light or something like that. Yes, when they see the police, they will actually try to stop themselves from doing it. So when you know that God is always looking at you all the time.
I'll agree with you a lot.
Yeah.
I think there is a lot of value in having some kind of authority, some kind of something which is above you that you have to answer to. Because ultimately you can be open to anything. But
because every
I like to
system,
think that with enough time and learning and study of philosophy and morality and ethics, you can get to that yourself.
Get to what?
Get to a point where you have an authority on your own morality, which is positive, which is something that can bring about a better humanitarian.
Yeah, but that's your subjective view.
It is subjective.
You see, what might be your
But
subjective.
it's similar to the Islamic one.
No, not really.
No, but in the sense of how it treats other people. You're talking
Yeah,
about
but even
not
that
murdering,
changes, my friend. That changes over time.
Similar though.
Okay, I'll give you an example. I think I did mention this already. Abortion at one point was seen as heinous, as criminal, to kill your own children. Today it's perfectly normal. We have 200,000 abortions a year in this country. A small country like Britain. Yes, in America I'm sure it's much higher, 600 or 800 million a year, my friend.
Does Islam mention abortion specifically?
Oh yes, killing your own children, yes, is something which is not allowed.
In the womb.
Yeah.
Specifically.
So I think there were practices before where the people used to practice certain things which will not, which is kind of family planning thing.
Okay.
Yes. And well, they didn't have contraceptions in that sense, but yeah. So basically, Allah says in the Quran that He will provide. Do not kill your own children, because I think there's a twofold message there. Because during the Jahiliyyah period, during the pre-Islamic period, they used to actually bury their daughters alive. You know why? Because the boys were considered to be higher value than the girls, so they used to kill. This infanticide was practiced. Yes, unfortunately, it's practiced still in places like India and all. Yes, that is again the same.
China as well.
Yeah, the same sort of. No, I don't think China. China is a different kettle of fish. They say have 2 children, regardless of after that what happens, whether you have a girl or a boy, that's it. But I don't know if that is changed now. But anyway, that's how it is. So in Islam, we have been told from the very beginning not to kill children. Yes, and that is something which is part of the morality in Islam.
I'm happy to accept that the morality in Islam might be one of the best, or if not even the best morality for humanity.
I mean,
it's still a question of belief, though, in arbitration of this.
So whatever whatever prohibitions Islam lays down is something which is good for the individual. So the question is this: if you know the Pascal's wager, So if you take the higher risk, that means if there is God.
I'm not lying to myself if I just go, I'm going to believe just because I want to go to heaven. But don't you really, when you come to belief, it doesn't have to be genuine belief, sincere belief.
Yeah.
So
what is?
You can't just force yourself.
So when you say sincere belief, if everything that you have, everything you have pondered and everything you have thought of makes sense to you, then to reject that would be insincere. Do you agree?
Yes.
Yes. So once you know that this universe didn't build itself, it did not come by itself. Yes, there must be an intelligent designer.
Do you not think you need to feel or?
You give me an alternative. Go on. Exactly my point.
What's your evidence then?
My evidence is that the world that we live in, that the universe that we live in, we observe today.
Is it just philosophical beliefs, or
it's something I use deductive reasoning for to come to the conclusion. Okay, so it's not just belief. Okay. Just because somebody told me that I believe in it. I'm saying, what is the alternative? Yes. Where did all this come from? Yeah. Yes, there must be something. We see a lot of systems in our universe, a lot of laws of physics that we see, all this, the fine tuning and all that, didn't all just come into place by itself. Yes, if the Earth was a bit further away from its orbit or closer to the sun, yes, then we would be either freezing to death or burning to death. Everything is in this golden ratio that we see in our universe. It's something that just doesn't come about by itself. There must be an intelligent designer out there who has designed this and using certain philosophical arguments, like for example this we cannot have a creator who has a creator who has a creator, so this the infinite regress is something that shouldn't apply. There must be the first cause. There must be a cause which created all of this, because everything that begins to exist has a cause. Yes, and we know that our universe began to exist. Do you not believe our universe? Well, I think the Big Bang. If you look at the Big Bang theory, okay, if you look at the way that the universe expands.
Theory, though.
No, but of course.
Have to accept it.
Well, when you say theory,
science is its own belief system.
If you don't accept religion, you don't accept science, then what are you left with?
Experience, the lived experience.
Yeah, but you can't have the experience. You can't go back to the time when the Big Bang happened.
But I don't need
Can
to.
you?
I know that I exist, and I'm living as if I exist, and that's it. What's wrong with that?
No, you still don't understand. Yeah. Like I said to you, even if you believe what you believe in it's still subjective. So if you can be wrong, if you have been wrong in the past, you can be wrong now. You see what I mean? So how do you know? No, it's not the inconsistency. When you know that you're capable of making mistakes and you're capable of making errors which can impact you and your family, yes, and the future, then you should be taking measures that doesn't happen.
You said the trial and error. You live and you learn through the experiences. You read all the philosophy you need to read.
That still won't answer all your questions.
Well,
you see what I mean? That still won't make your subjective worldview objective. Yeah. That still won't make the principles that you have accepted for yourself change tomorrow. Either maybe the culture that you live in, or the time that you live in, or the place that you live in. You see, maybe if you go to another country, you might have to readapt based on the culture. So you have to unlearn the things that you have learned here. You see what I mean?
And this is why
I'll
concede to you that I think it's more valuable to have in that case.
Also, testimony is a huge thing. You have to believe in testimony. For example, if I asked you, have you seen the DNA have you compared the DNA between you and your parents? How do you know you're not adopted?
Actually, no, I did do a DNA test.
You did?
Yeah.
But you see, there must be a reason for that, right? And there must be an important. I don't want to dwell into the privacy of your family and your life. But what I'm saying is that unless you have done a DNA test, you won't for guarantee say that they're my parents. Yes? Maybe there are certain physical features which are similar, but then they might be similar to other relatives in your family. You see what I mean? You don't know where you're adopted from, either from your family or outside it. Yes? So we cannot go about asking for proof and evidence for everything. Certain times we have to accept and acknowledge that the testimony that I received is from a person that I trust, and I accept it.
And which example would you use?
I would give an example, the one that I just gave about your parents.
No, I mean from
another example. Sorry?
Islamic perspective, I mean.
In Islamic perspective, it's basically it's the Prophet's word. The Prophet, all the prophets, yes, their words were basically like, because they had direct revelation, they had direct contact with God Almighty. So that's why they were able to tell you something which might not be true now, but which they might be about the future. Or they might know already that this is best for you as a nasiya, as an advice for you. Because they know that this is what God told them, and He's imparting the message onto you. Another example I would give from the world that we live in, besides the parents' DNA, is when you go to see a doctor. Do you see the certificate? You don't. You know that they work for the NHS, and you know the NHS is a government body here, which hopefully is responsible when it hires and recruits people, that they recruit with people who are genuine, check the credentials and so on. But we know from the past that there were many people who were not genuine doctors, and they happened to basically infiltrate the system, and they gave wrong prescriptions or wrong diagnosis to people for which they had suffered. Yes, but we still believe in the testimony, and that's the reason. So one thing is the evidence that you see, and by deductive reasoning you know that the universe didn't come about itself. There must be an intelligent designer which brought all this into existence. Then you have the element of testimony which you go by, and that is where we believe that things like the Quran, the scripture that we believe, that was revealed to Prophet Muhammad through God, through an angel, and so on. This is something based on testimony. And when we look at the overall, scenario and the picture, then we realize that all this makes sense. All this kind of now fits. So we don't have to spend our days asking for evidence for everything. Yes, because we know that this fits in terms of the reality that we live in. It kind of makes sense that all this didn't come as an accident. Yes, and that's the reason I brought in the pastor's wager earlier, that if you find out one day when you die that God is real and all the things that you talked about, that you had been told about in this world is real, then the question is, why would you still be reluctant to take that step where you are actually taking the lesser risk? I would say, if there is no God.
Okay, why does God make it such a risk then? Why not
It's
reveal
God.
the evidence explicitly? This is heaven, this is hell. Physical manifestation of both.
Then it wouldn't be a test. It is like you asking a teacher.
So the faith is the test.
Listen. It is like you asking a teacher when you're in examination room. Yes. Why didn't you just show us the answers? Yes. Why give us all these questions? Yeah.
No, it's different because at least I know the exam exists, right? I know there is a test.
Well,
In
the
this
world
case, I have
exists.
to- I don't
The
need-
universe exists,
No,
and
but
the universe
test-
didn't come about by
I believe
itself.
that This life is a test.
This life is
I
a
don't-
test. Yes.
but I have to see evidence for that. Though.
What do you mean? The
I'm
life
saying
is
in
a
the
test?
Exam, you see the exam. You know it's a test.
Yeah.
But in this
So what do you want? You want God to come down here
Yes.
and tell you?
Well, you're saying Quran is the evidence.
Okay. Here's the thing.
I haven't studied Quran, so I don't know. Yeah.
Here's the thing. If God came down here, yes, you would die instantly. Do you want such a? Are you sure about the postulation?
Why would you die?
Because that is the thing. It is like you saying that show me the show me radiation. I don't see it. But then they bring you near the radioactive material,
okay.
and then you die. Oh, there's the evidence.
Okay.
You see what I mean? You're asking for suicide mission here, basically.
fair enough.
This is a suicide mission to ask for God to come in front of you in this world. One day, the opportunity will come, provided you are a Muslim, provided you are a believer, when you'll be able to get your get your wish fulfilled. What is your wish? To see God. Inshallah, we'll see Allah one day. Yes, and that wish will be fulfilled in paradise. So all the people who are in paradise will have that vision, which will be the best of visions. When I say vision, I mean they will really see.
it
Yes.
without dying.
Yes.
Like here.
Maybe we have a different body. We have a different vision that we can manifest. Sorry, we can see we can see Allah directly, and that will be the best thing you see. So it'll be better than all the things that you get reward in the paradise. Yes, all the best of foods, best of wine or whatever it is. All those things will be compared to Allah. It'll be nothing, and that's why I'm saying, look, if you take the step of believing in God, then you are really, like you said, what is the term you use? You're empowering yourself to live a life which is meaningful. Your life will be meaningful. You won't have to go about saying, I don't know. You won't have to, you will still,
saying I don't know.
no, well, you said many times, I don't know, when I asked you the question.
No, but I'm living with meaning. I never said my life is meaningless.
No.
I'm saying I'm
So
an
what is,
arbitrator of my own
so if I
meaning.
asked you, what is the purpose of your life?
It's whatever I say it is.
What is it?
Whatever I want it to
Here's the question, here's
Whatever I want it to
a chance to
I
answer the
define
question.
my own meaning.
No, answer the question. What is the
did, I'm
purpose
saying
of your
whatever I
life?
want it to be.
But that's not
Why is that not?
that's not an answer.
Of course it's an answer.
So what do you mean, whatever
What's
you
the
want to
meaning
be?
of my life? Whatever I want it to be.
Okay, do you
I
have
am the arbitrator of my own existence.
do you have absolute freedom to do that?
Yes, I have moral responsibility. How about that? So the meaning of my life is whatever I choose the meaning to be. I'm a free human being.
And what is that?
It's whatever I want it to be.
But what is it? Have you not decided that yet? What is the meaning of your life?
Yes.
When you say whatever I want it to
okay,
be, but then
specifically-
you're saying I don't have absolute freedom. You see how it conflicts?
The meaning is self-defined through experience, right?
Which
for
is
me, in my
yeah.
If you want to ask me what the values are in my life, what I think are valuable, I can name things that I think are valuable in my life.
Okay.
But in terms of offering a meaning, the meaning itself is your existence, your lived experience. That's the meaning. You give it your own meaning. I'm defining my own meaning in my existence.
I don't know. I still think it's
It's called existentialism, by the way. That's the philosophical theory about this. It's phenomenal. I don't know.
your existential reality.
Yes.
That's your meaning.
Yes.
But that's a given. Whether you,
Yes.
even without you thinking about it, that's a fact anyway.
Exactly. So the fact that I live is the meaning in itself.
I see. So
I'm alive, therefore
okay.
that's
So
my meaning.
so you're no different to the animals then.
In some regards, you could say that.
In
But
every
we're-
regard, in
we're
what
a
you
lot-
just answered.
Okay, but we're a lot more sophisticated. We can do a lot more with our existence.
Yeah, but
I'm
it's
not
still-
just living just to fulfill my bodily functions and things. I
No,
can
no,
think and I can
no.
abstract
But what I'm saying is the foundation of what you just said yes, the fundamental of what you said is no different to that of an animal.
that's true.
Because an animal is born,
experience,
it looks for sustenance,
Yes.
and it reproduces and it dies one day.
Yes.
So the foundation, the fundamental is no. Yes?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that, look, you can live your life like the way you're living. Yes.
Full of
I'm
meaning.
sure you're.
Full of meaning.
Yeah. I'm sure you're a person who's got
meaning.
good morals, who wants to do good life in their life with your family and with your society. Trust me, none of this Islam is going to stop you from. So
But
what
that's
you're
because I
doing.
think the morality in Islam is good.
No. But here's the thing, because of you taking the chance or the higher risk of afterlife,
Yeah.
that this life, by the way, is not just a test, but it's also limited and is also very temporary.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
the life after is something that is going to be eternal. So you're saying that I'm living my life the way I want, and I personally believe that it's perfect, it's good, and no one is sorry, I'm not harming anyone, so it's all good. But you see, that is not the purpose of life for you, in the sense,
your opinion.
in the sense that if there is an afterlife,
Yes.
yes, there is more to it than just being a good person.
But I don't believe that there is an afterlife.
Yeah, but you're not believing it is where I'm questioning you
I know.
why you're not believing it. Because if you are already living a good life, then believing in religion, believing in God makes the is basically the next logical thing to do.
Could be true. Yeah.
You see what I mean?
I can accept that.
Yeah. And if that is the case, then the only thing you're harming yourself is by only focusing on this temporary life and saying that, not only saying that I don't care what's going to happen in my next life, but in a way you have convinced yourself that there is no next life. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So
It is a risk, it
the
is a
more
risk,
logical thing would be to say that I'm going to live my life more or less in the way that I'm living now anyway, plus I will
Have the safety of.
exactly have the safety of believing in God, who will give me the assurance of the next life, which is eternal.
No, that's a great point.
Yeah?
That's a really good point. Honestly.
Yeah.
I think this is probably the most convincing point for me, honestly.
Alhamdulillah.
Because that's like,
Yeah. So why don't you look into it? Have you ever read the Quran?
I have 2 Qurans in my house.
But have you read them?
My girlfriend is a religious education teacher,
Really?
so she studies all
Okay.
religions basically. So.
But is she religious herself? She's not.
So I'll read.
Yeah,
I
sure.
ask a question?
Sure, yeah.
I just wanted to ask about hedonism,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
What stops you from indulging heavily in hedonism if your morals are, I don't know, not so clear? If that makes sense. Just sort of
What do you
curious.
define hedonism? How do you define it? Just
I don't know.
happiness?
No, yeah, anything that's going to give you short-term pleasure. I mean, it is subjective,
Well,
but
because I think, and then maybe this is similar concept in Islam, but I think there is an element of selfishness, right? And you can indulge yourself all you want, but if you're being selfish at the detriment of other people, then that's a harmful thing. So okay, I can live a life of indulgence and take drugs and do whatever, but that's going to hurt me and it's going to hurt other people. So that's contradictory, you know? That's not true happiness.
okay.
Yeah, see, he's already talking like a Muslim, alhamdulillah.
Well, that's what I thought.
Because that's why I'm saying this is something which we call the fitrah, the innate, the innate disposition. Because as a human being, we do identify many things as right and wrong. Yes, you don't need to be told. So even if you go to the Amazon forest, they'll consider murder as wrong. Yes, even if you go to far off places where civilization, the modern civilization, hasn't actually approached, even they would be believing those things. And like I said earlier, the most important thing they will put again is justice. Yes, so there will be some form of a justice system. Yes, doesn't matter how crude it is, it'll be there. And that's what I'm saying. At the end, what the fitrah. Yeah, the fitrah is something. Yeah, so the fitrah is something that a human being, doesn't matter if you're on an island or you're far away from civilization or even within civilization, there'll be like this inner voice telling you what is right and wrong in many ways.
What's a good Islamic reference to read about this? Is there like a particular book, or I guess it's explaining Quran maybe? Or?
Just to learn about fitrah?
Yeah,
I'm sure there'll be quite heavy books on this written by Al-Ghazali and so on.
That's really interesting.
But maybe there might be, I don't know, I can find out for you if you want. But this is, this is something people recognize even without being religious.
Yes.
They know that there is something inside them which tells them innately that this is wrong. What I'm going to do now is wrong.
This is it. It's
Yeah.
the spirit, yeah.
And then it's certain people, the fitrah is clouded. So they don't identify right and wrong very easily. You know when that happens? When they keep committing that sin over and over again, then it clouds your fitrah. It clouds your heart. Yes, we call this sayyi'at. This is the dark things the dark spots on your heart. So if you do a sin first time, there'll be one spot on your heart. Yes, this is metaphorically speaking. Yes, and if you do the sin again, then another spot, and so on. A time will come and your whole heart will be like black. And then you do not identify between right and wrong. And this is normally the case you find in these serial killers and serial rapists and serial murderers, because they've done it so many times, it's become like second nature to them. Yes, so they do not. It doesn't even like what do you say? It doesn't even register that they are doing wrong at one point. Yes.
Even as well, another example is people who have prolonged their addiction, right?
Yeah, same. Which is a sin, which is a repeated sin, which they do again and again. I bet that the first time when they did that, their inner self told them this is wrong.
Yes. And
So-
then they convinced themselves.
Yeah. It's like the alcoholics, you know. Every alcoholic said at one time in his life that I'm not going to overdrink. Yes, I'm going to. I can control my drink. But then they ended up as an alcoholic. And the same thing with a gambler, and the same thing with a drug addict, and all these things. And you know what is the coincidence? The coincidence is all of this Allah has prohibited. You know why? Because it doesn't only harm, like you correctly said earlier, it doesn't just harm yourself. It harms the society. It harms your family. Yes. Say for example, every time, like this is the right time, December. We are 1st of December today. Yes. Every December they have the ads running on TV. Do not drink and drive. Do not drink and drive. Yes. Like this is a huge thing during this period, this holiday season, because a lot of people drink during this time and they lose control. So some of these college professors, very intelligent, high IQ, yes, they tell all the students not to do it, but during this time, many of the same people who have been preaching do not practice what they've been preaching.
That's true.
And they end up on the streets, puking and looking really, really silly. Yes, maybe their friends have to take them home. They can't even go home by themselves. They have become like, and that is the reason Allah has prohibited these things, because a drunk person, can kill someone who's a teetotaler. Yes, someone who has never tasted alcohol in their life, they can just run them down on the street because they were drinking. So everything, and it saves the NHS a lot of money. Yes, because if you look at the amount of people who end up in NHS, who end up at the doctors, or the clinics, or the A&Es, yes, their time would have been saved. Huge millions of pounds would have been saved. Yes, just because of one thing: alcohol being prohibited, drugs being prohibited, gambling. Again, gambling is something which impacts not only you, yes, in terms of money, but impacts your friends from whom you start borrowing money, your family from whom you start borrowing money, and you see, you break all these relationships. Sometimes you end up in a divorce because you borrowed from your wife or maybe their parents and so on. So all these things have a negative impact on society.
So it sounds to me, Prophet Muhammad was very wise.
Yes.
He knew societally what issues are going to have.
Absolutely, yes. By the way, it wasn't Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was Allah.
Oh, God, yeah.
Allah knows us.
He's
Allah knows the universe, so He knows what's best for us. And that's the reason I'm saying, if you live under, under a system which,
Authority.
moral authority. like a religion, like a faith, like a way of life, it tells you from the day you were born to the day you die how to lead your life. Not that you won't come around it by trial and error, maybe making a lot of mistakes, maybe not getting an answer during the duration of your short life or the long life that you live in this temporary world. Yes, but with this system, because there is no reinventing the wheel, this is something that has already been told to you from the day one, then you don't have to worry about those things of trial and error. You see what I mean? So inshallah, look into Islam. Yes, no problem. What's your name, brother? Ramzi. Very nice meeting you, brother.
Good listening to you guys.
Yes, Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brothers and sisters, please make dua for Brother Ramzi. May Allah give him hidayah, because our duty is to convey the message. Yes, hidayah is always in the hands of Allah. The guidance is always in the hands of Allah. So inshallah, make dua for him. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.